The hardest part was never being alone. The hardest part was standing in a room full of people and still feeling as if there was no place where your heart could truly rest. It was looking around and realizing that everyone else seemed connected to something you could not quite reach. It was smiling during conversations while carrying a quiet feeling that nobody fully understood the battles hidden beneath the surface. If this feeling has followed you for years, you are not imagining it. You are not weak because of it. You are not broken because of it. Many people who carry a deep sense of purpose have walked through seasons where they felt disconnected from nearly everything around them. They learned how to blend in without ever truly feeling that they belonged. They learned how to be present while feeling emotionally distant. They learned how to keep moving forward while carrying questions they rarely spoke aloud. The truth is that some people spend their lives searching for acceptance, while others spend their lives searching for understanding. Those are not the same thing. Acceptance can be temporary. Understanding is much rarer. Many of the people who feel chosen often carry a sensitivity that causes them to notice things others overlook. They feel deeply. They think deeply. They reflect deeply. Because of this, ordinary conversations sometimes leave them feeling empty. Surface-level relationships often leave them feeling exhausted. They long for genuine connection, yet they repeatedly find themselves surrounded by people who only see a small portion of who they really are. Over time, this creates a painful belief that perhaps they simply do not belong anywhere. Yet what feels like rejection is not always rejection. Sometimes it is evidence that your spirit is searching for something more meaningful than what currently surrounds you. There are people who fit into every room they enter. There are also people who spend years feeling out of place, because they were never meant to build their identity around the approval of the crowd. If that has been your experience, then you know the loneliness that comes with it. You know what it feels like to be the person who listens to everyone else while carrying burdens nobody notices. You know what it feels like to offer kindness and receive misunderstanding. You know what it feels like to give your best effort only to wonder whether anyone truly sees the sacrifice behind your smile. There were days when you questioned yourself. There were nights when you wondered why relationships seemed easier for everyone else. There were moments when you tried to become smaller, quieter, and more agreeable just to fit in. Yet even then, something inside you remained unchanged. Deep within your heart, there was still a longing for something authentic. There was still a desire for a connection that went beyond appearances. There was still a part of you that refused to settle for relationships that lacked sincerity. That part of you is not your weakness. It may actually be one of your greatest strengths. The people who leave the deepest impact on the world are often the same people who spend years feeling misunderstood by it. They are not driven by popularity. They are driven by meaning. They are not sustained by applause. They are sustained by purpose. Their path is often quieter, slower, and more difficult to understand. Yet it develops qualities that cannot be created any other way. Compassion grows through pain. Wisdom grows through reflection. Resilience grows through struggle. Character grows through endurance. Many of the experiences that made you feel different were also shaping strengths that would become valuable later. The loneliness taught you how to stand on your own when others walked away. The disappointment taught you how to find strength within yourself. The seasons of silence taught you how to listen to your own heart. The moments of rejection taught you that your worth could not be measured by the opinions of people who never truly understood your journey. None of those lessons were easy. Some of them hurt deeply. Some left scars that still ache when certain memories return. Yet the fact that you survived them reveals something important about who you are. There is a strength within you that kept moving forward even on your darkest days. There were moments when giving up seemed easier. There were moments when exhaustion felt overwhelming. There were moments when your faith was tested by circumstances that made no sense. Yet you are still here. The fact that you are still standing says more about your strength than you realize. Many people only see the version of you that exists today. They do not see the battles that shaped you. They do not see the disappointments you carried quietly. They do not see the prayers whispered through tears. They do not see the times you chose kindness after experiencing hurt. They do not see the courage it took to keep believing that life still held meaning. God saw those moments. God saw the tears that nobody else noticed. God saw the heartbreak that never became visible to the people around you. God saw the nights when loneliness felt heavier than words could describe. Even when the world seemed silent, heaven was not unaware of your struggle. Sometimes the greatest comfort comes from realizing that being unseen by people does not mean being unseen by God. Human recognition is limited. Divine awareness is not. The world may overlook your sacrifices, but their value remains. The world may misunderstand your intentions, but their sincerity remains. The world may fail to appreciate your kindness, but its impact remains. Nothing valuable about you disappears simply because someone else failed to recognize it. One of the most painful lies people believe is that belonging requires becoming someone else. They begin changing themselves to earn approval. They hide their true thoughts. They suppress their gifts. They silence their voice. They shrink their personality. They become less authentic in order to feel accepted. Yet acceptance that depends on pretending is never true belonging. Real belonging begins when you stop abandoning yourself. It begins when you understand that your value does not increase when others approve of you and does not decrease when they do not. It begins when you recognize that your uniqueness is not a flaw that needs correction. It is part of the reason you were placed here. There are qualities within you that this world desperately needs. Your empathy matters. Your resilience matters. Your kindness matters. Your faith matters. Your perseverance matters. The fact that your path has been difficult does not make those qualities less important. It often makes them stronger. Some of your greatest victories happened in silence when nobody was watching. Every time you chose hope instead of bitterness, you achieved a victory. Every time you chose forgiveness instead of resentment, you achieved a victory. Every time you kept moving forward despite disappointment, you achieved a victory. Those moments may never receive public recognition, but they helped shape the person you are becoming. They reveal a depth of character that cannot be measured by status, popularity, or success. They reveal a quiet strength that many people spend their entire lives trying to develop. Perhaps the reason you have felt different for so long is not because you were forgotten. Perhaps it is because your journey required lessons that could only be learned through seasons of separation. Perhaps the loneliness was not evidence that you lacked value. Perhaps it was evidence that your growth was taking place beneath the surface. Trees develop their deepest roots long before anyone sees their height. In the same way, some of the most important work in your life happened during seasons when nobody noticed. The patience you developed, the wisdom you gained, the compassion you cultivated, the faith you preserved. These things matter. They matter more than you know. Your story has value even if it did not unfold the way you expected. The delays did not erase your purpose. The disappointments did not erase your worth. The struggles did not erase your future. There is still goodness ahead. There is still healing ahead. There are still meaningful connections ahead. There are still moments waiting for you that will remind you why you never gave up. The chapter you are living now is not the final chapter. The loneliness you experienced is not the complete story. The seasons that tested you were also shaping who you were becoming. One day you may look back and realize that what felt like not belonging anywhere was actually preparation for discovering where your heart truly belonged all along. Until then, continue honoring the person you are. Continue valuing the kindness you carry. Continue protecting the faith that sustained you. Continue believing that your life has meaning, even when circumstances try to convince you otherwise. The world may not always understand your journey, but your journey still matters. Your struggles matter. Your sacrifices matter. Your endurance matters. You carried burdens that few people ever noticed. Your kindness cost you more than most people will ever understand. Not every battle you fought was in vain. There is a future version of you that will look back with gratitude for the strength you showed during this season. If these words brought comfort to your heart and reminded you that you are not alone in your journey, subscribe to the channel and continue walking with a community that values faith, healing, encouragement, and purpose. Sometimes the greatest sense of belonging begins when we realize there are others carrying the same quiet strength and hope. There comes a point in a person's life when the pain of feeling different becomes heavier than the desire to keep pretending everything is fine. For many people who have spent years feeling as though they do not belong anywhere, that moment arrives quietly. It does not come with dramatic announcements or obvious signs. It arrives during an ordinary day when they suddenly realize how long they have been carrying the weight of loneliness. They realize how many times they smiled while feeling disconnected. They realize how many conversations ended with an empty feeling they could not explain. They realize how many years were spent trying to earn a sense of belonging that never fully arrived. If you have reached that point, there is something important you need to understand. Feeling out of place does not mean you are failing at life. Feeling different does not mean there is something wrong with you. Sometimes it means your soul has been searching for depth in a world that often rewards appearances. Sometimes it means your heart has been searching for sincerity in environments built around performance. Sometimes it means you were never meant to find your identity in the opinions of others. Many people spend their lives adapting themselves to fit expectations. They learn what to say, how to act, and what parts of themselves should remain hidden. Eventually, they become accepted by everyone around them, yet they still feel empty because they no longer know who they truly are. You may have experienced the opposite journey. You may have remained true to your values even when it made you feel isolated. You may have protected your integrity even when compromise would have made life easier. You may have continued choosing kindness even when others did not return it. That path is not easy. In fact, it often feels incredibly lonely. Yet there is a quiet dignity in becoming the person God created you to be, rather than becoming the person others expect you to be. Some of the deepest wounds carried by those who feel chosen come from repeated experiences of misunderstanding. They enter relationships with sincerity and encounter indifference. They offer loyalty and receive inconsistency. They provide support and receive little in return. After enough disappointments, they begin questioning whether genuine connection even exists. They begin wondering whether they are destined to walk through life alone. The pain of that belief can be overwhelming. Human beings were created for connection. We were created to love and be loved. We were created to share burdens and celebrate victories together. When those experiences seem absent, the heart naturally grieves. Yet there is an important difference between being alone and being prepared. Many seasons that feel like abandonment are actually seasons of development. During those times, qualities are being strengthened that could not grow under easier circumstances. Patience is being developed. Discernment is being developed. Emotional strength is being developed. Faith is being developed. The ability to remain grounded during uncertainty is being developed. None of these lessons feel pleasant while they are happening, yet their value becomes clearer with time. Think about how many challenges you have already survived. Think about how many moments felt impossible while you were living through them. There were seasons when you believed the pain would never end. There were seasons when the future seemed unclear. There were seasons when disappointment appeared stronger than hope. Yet somehow you continued moving forward. Somehow you kept taking another step. Somehow you found enough strength to face another day. That strength did not appear by accident. It was built through experience. It was shaped by perseverance. It was refined through struggle. Every difficult season left behind something valuable. Even the chapters you wish had never happened contributed to the person you are becoming. This does not mean the pain was pleasant. It means the pain was not meaningless. One of the most powerful realizations a person can have is understanding that their value exists independently of recognition. The world often teaches people to measure themselves through external approval. Success becomes proof of worth. Popularity becomes proof of importance. Attention becomes proof of significance. Yet those standards are unstable because they depend entirely on other people. True worth cannot be built on something so fragile. Your value existed before anyone praised you. Your value remained when people criticized you. Your value remained when people misunderstood you. Your value remained during every season of loneliness. Your value remained during every season of doubt. Nothing that happened to you was capable of removing the dignity that already existed within you. The challenge is learning to believe that when circumstances suggest otherwise. There may have been moments when you felt invisible. There may have been moments when your efforts seemed unnoticed. There may have been moments when you wondered whether anyone cared about the sacrifices you were making. Those experiences can slowly convince a person that they do not matter. Yet the truth remains unchanged. You matter. Your story matters. Your presence matters. The kindness you offer matters. The compassion you show matters. The encouragement you give matters. The strength you demonstrate matters. Many lives have been touched by people who never realized the impact they were having. A kind word spoken at the right time can stay with someone for years. A simple act of patience can restore hope in another person's heart. A quiet example of perseverance can inspire someone who feels ready to quit. You may never fully understand how many people have been influenced by the way you carried yourself through hardship. Some blessings work quietly. Some impacts remain invisible. Some seeds take years to grow. That does not make them any less real. There is also something beautiful that often happens when a person stops chasing belonging and starts embracing authenticity. The relationships that remain become more meaningful. The connections that form become more genuine. The conversations become deeper. The heart becomes lighter. Instead of trying to earn acceptance by changing who they are, they begin attracting people who appreciate who they truly are. This process often takes time. It requires patience. It requires trust. It requires the courage to remain authentic even when authenticity feels risky. Yet it creates a stronger foundation than anything built on pretense. God never intended for you to spend your entire life hiding the qualities He placed within you. He never intended for you to measure your worth through constant comparison. He never intended for you to believe that your struggles disqualified you from receiving love, purpose, or peace. Some of the people God used most powerfully throughout history experienced loneliness, rejection, and misunderstanding. Their circumstances did not define their destiny. Their difficulties did not erase their calling. Their challenges became part of the preparation. The same can be true for you. The seasons that made you feel forgotten may have been shaping strengths that will serve a greater purpose. The seasons that made you feel disconnected may have been teaching you where true connection can be found. The seasons that made you feel different may have been preparing you to live with greater authenticity than many people ever experience. There is a quiet confidence that develops when a person finally accepts who they are. It does not require approval. It does not require validation from every direction. It does not depend on popularity. It comes from knowing that your value is secure. It comes from understanding that your life has meaning. It comes from trusting that your journey matters, even when you do not fully understand it. Perhaps you have spent years focusing on the doors that closed. Perhaps you have spent years grieving the relationships that ended. Perhaps you have spent years wondering why certain connections never worked, despite your best efforts. While those questions are understandable, they do not contain your entire story. There are still chapters that have not been written. There are still opportunities that have not arrived. There are still people you have not met. There are still moments of healing waiting ahead. Hope remains possible. Purpose remains possible. Joy remains possible. Meaningful belonging remains possible. The fact that your path has been difficult does not mean your future will be empty. In many cases, the people who experience the deepest loneliness eventually develop the deepest appreciation for genuine connection. They stop taking relationships for granted. They stop chasing shallow approval. They recognize the value of sincerity because they understand the pain of its absence. Their experiences create wisdom that becomes a gift to others. Your journey may be doing the same thing within you. Every challenge you faced taught you something. Every disappointment revealed something. Every season of endurance strengthened something. You are not the same person you were years ago. You carry greater wisdom now. You carry greater compassion now. You carry greater resilience now. Those qualities were expensive to acquire, but they are valuable beyond measure. Never underestimate the significance of the growth that has taken place within you. The world often celebrates visible achievements while overlooking internal transformation. Yet internal transformation is often the foundation for everything else. The courage you developed matters. The faith you preserved matters. The character you built matters. The perseverance you demonstrated matters. Those are victories worth honoring. They are evidence that your struggles did not defeat you. They shaped you, they strengthened you, they prepared you. Most importantly, they proved that there is a strength within you that keeps rising no matter how difficult the circumstances become. If this message reminded you that your journey still has purpose and that true belonging begins with recognizing your own worth, subscribe to the channel and continue receiving encouragement that strengthens faith, healing, resilience, and personal growth. You do not have to walk this path feeling unseen, because there are others learning the same lessons of hope and perseverance alongside you. One day, often much later than expected, many people who spent years feeling like they did not belong anywhere begin to see their story differently. The loneliness that once felt like a punishment starts revealing itself as a teacher. The rejection that once felt like proof of inadequacy starts revealing itself as redirection. The seasons that seemed empty begin to show evidence of growth that was taking place beneath the surface all along. This realization rarely arrives all at once. It emerges gradually through reflection, healing, and experience. It emerges when a person looks back and notices how much strength was developed during the hardest chapters. It emerges when they realize that the struggles which once made them question themselves also helped them discover who they truly are. For years, you may have focused on what was missing. You may have focused on the friendships that never deepened, the relationships that ended, the opportunities that disappeared, and the moments when you felt invisible. Those experiences were real. The pain was real. The disappointment was real. Yet there was another story unfolding at the same time. While you were enduring those losses, resilience was being formed. While you were navigating uncertainty, wisdom was being developed. While you were carrying burdens in silence, character was being strengthened. Human beings naturally focus on visible outcomes. We notice what we lost. We notice what failed. We notice what never happened. Yet many of the most important developments in life occur internally. They occur in places no one else can see. They occur in the private moments when a person chooses faith over despair. They occur when someone chooses compassion after experiencing pain. They occur when someone decides to keep moving forward despite exhaustion. These victories often go unnoticed by the world, but they matter deeply. In many ways, they become the foundation upon which future blessings are built. There are people who receive everything they wanted, yet never develop the depth required to appreciate it. Then there are people who endure years of difficulty and emerge with gratitude, wisdom, empathy, and strength. The second path is harder, but it often produces something far more lasting. If you have felt different for most of your life, there is a good chance you have already developed qualities that many people spend decades trying to learn. You understand the value of kindness because you know what loneliness feels like. You understand the value of encouragement because you remember what it felt like to need it. You understand the value of sincerity because you have experienced disappointment. These lessons are not signs of weakness. They are evidence of growth. They are evidence that your struggles produced something meaningful within you. One of the greatest dangers of prolonged loneliness is that it can convince a person that they are unworthy of connection. After enough disappointments, people begin expecting rejection. They begin assuming they will be misunderstood. They begin protecting themselves by lowering expectations. While this response is understandable, it can quietly become a prison. The heart was never meant to live permanently behind walls. Healing involves learning how to remain open without becoming careless. It involves learning how to trust wisely without abandoning hope. It involves believing that the actions of some people do not define the possibilities that still exist ahead. Not everyone will misunderstand you. Not everyone will overlook your value. Not everyone will fail to appreciate your heart. There are people in this world who will recognize the qualities that others ignored. There are people who will appreciate your sincerity, your loyalty, your compassion, and your faith. There are people who will see your quiet strength and understand its value. Sometimes those connections arrive later than expected because they require growth on both sides. Timing often plays a larger role than we realize. What feels like delay can sometimes be preparation. What feels like absence can sometimes be protection. What feels like isolation can sometimes be a season of development that makes future relationships healthier and more meaningful. Looking back, you may notice that some of the things you desperately wanted years ago would not have brought the peace you imagined. Some doors remained closed for reasons you could not understand at the time. Some relationships ended despite your efforts. Some opportunities disappeared even though you prayed for them to stay. Yet as life continued, new understanding emerged. Certain endings prevented greater pain. Certain delays created better opportunities. Certain disappointments redirected your path towards something healthier. This does not mean every hardship happened, for a reason that will become obvious. Life remains complex. Some questions never receive complete answers. However, it does mean that difficult chapters do not automatically destroy the possibility of a meaningful future. The presence of pain does not eliminate the possibility of purpose. The presence of loneliness does not eliminate the possibility of belonging. The presence of struggle does not eliminate the possibility of joy. Throughout your journey, there were moments when your strength surprised even you. There were days when you believed you had nothing left to give, yet somehow you continued. There were seasons when your heart felt tired, yet you kept showing kindness. There were times when disappointment tempted you toward bitterness, yet you chose compassion instead. Those moments reveal something important. They reveal that your identity is not defined by what happened to you. Your identity is revealed by how you responded to what happened to you. The fact that you are still capable of hope after hardship is remarkable. The fact that you are still capable of kindness after disappointment is remarkable. The fact that you are still capable of faith after uncertainty is remarkable. These qualities deserve recognition. They deserve respect. They deserve appreciation. Too often, people overlook their own growth because they remain focused on what has not happened yet. They forget how far they have already come. Take a moment to consider the person you were years ago. Consider the fears you carried. Consider the wounds you were trying to heal. Consider the questions that kept you awake at night. You are not that same person anymore. The journey changed you. The challenges changed you. The lessons changed you. While some scars remain, so does tremendous growth. The strength you possess today was earned. The wisdom you carry today was earned. The resilience you demonstrate today was earned. Every difficult season contributed something to that process. This is why your story has value even if it unfolded differently than expected. Some people assume that purpose only exists in grand achievements. They believe significance requires public recognition or extraordinary accomplishments. Yet many of the most meaningful lives are built through ordinary acts of faithfulness. A person who continues showing kindness despite disappointment creates value. A person who encourages others despite carrying private struggles creates value. A person who remains hopeful during difficult seasons creates value. A person who continues trusting God despite unanswered questions creates value. These quiet acts of courage matter more than many people realize. They create ripple effects that extend far beyond what can be measured. Perhaps one of the greatest truths you can carry forward is this: your belonging was never meant to be rooted in fitting into every environment. Your belonging was never meant to depend on being understood by everyone you meet. Your belonging was never meant to be determined by popularity, status, or approval. Your deepest belonging begins when you understand that you are already valued by the one who created you. It begins when you stop treating your uniqueness as a flaw. It begins when you recognize that your journey, with all its complexities, still has meaning. It begins when you understand that God has not forgotten you. The tears mattered. The prayers mattered. The waiting mattered. The perseverance mattered. Nothing was wasted. Even the seasons that seemed empty contributed something important to your development. Even the moments that felt meaningless shaped qualities that remain valuable today. God saw every step. God saw every struggle. God saw every act of faithfulness that went unnoticed by others. And while life may not have unfolded according to your original expectations, your story remains unfinished. There are still experiences ahead that can bring healing. There are still relationships ahead that can bring encouragement. There are still opportunities ahead that can bring fulfillment. There are still blessings ahead that can bring gratitude. Hope remains alive. Purpose remains alive. Your future remains unwritten. The feeling that you do not belong anywhere may have accompanied you for many years, but it does not have to define the rest of your life. You are more than your loneliness. You are more than your disappointments. You are more than the moments that made you question your worth. You are a person of value, resilience, faith, and quiet strength. You have survived battles that many people never saw. You have carried burdens that few people fully understood. You have continued moving forward through seasons that would have caused others to stop. That strength matters. That perseverance matters. That story matters. And perhaps one day you will realize that the reason you never fully fit into every place was because you were being guided toward a deeper understanding of who you truly are. If these messages have encouraged your heart and helped you see your journey through a lens of hope, subscribe to the channel and continue growing in faith, healing, purpose, and encouragement. May each message remind you that your life has value, your struggles were not meaningless, and your place in this world is greater than the loneliness that once tried to define you.